This week, I'm returning to my Why I Love series with Why I Love ... Bridges.
This is what it's like in your 40s.
You become captivated by bridges.
This is what it's like in your 40s.
As everyone knows, bridges fall into the following strict categories: arch bridges, beam bridges, suspension bridges, cantilever bridges, cable-stayed bridges, truss bridges, tied arch bridges, Lloyd bridges, Bow bridges and Jeff bridges. And I love them all. I've spent a lot of time in the last few months preparing for this video, and in that time I've been totting up how many bridges I think I've crossed in my lifetime, and I think it's 1,720, which is about average for a middle-aged person. I won't list them all here, of course, we haven't quite got time for that, but I will give you some of my favourites which span 4 different continents. We start with the Rialto Bridge in Venice, the Brooklyn Bridge, New York, the Essaouira Fortress Bridge in Morocco, the Yulong Bridge in Yangshuo, China, this bridge over a small pond in my local Brockwell Park, and the Langkawi Sky Bridge in Malaysia. Although in truth I didn't actually complete the crossing on that occasion. Few things have triggered my vertigo more than this terrifying structure. I got a third of the way across, then my knees went and I had to go back. I'm still counting it as one of my 1,720 though. But before we go into detail on bridges, let's first establish what a bridge is. Wikipedia notes that a bridge is a structure built to span a physical obstacle such as water or a road without blocking the way underneath. But typically of Wikipedia, this is a bland and dispiritingly simplistic view of bridges, isn't it? Bridges are so much more than a way of getting from A to B without being run over or swept to your death by a torrent of raging water. Just think about how important bridges are in the way we speak. We talk about building bridges when we're describing repairing relationships. We talk about burning bridges when we're describing the destruction of a relationship. But before there were bridges, there were no bridge metaphors. When you think about it, the first bridge was probably a log that had fallen over a stream. Our ancestors probably described the healing of a relationship as dropping a log, something that would have a very different meaning today. I mean, taking a shit. Without bridges, just think of all the culture we'd have missed out on. Without bridges, many of Claude Monet's 250-odd paintings of water lilies would have been just water lilies, with no bridges at all. Without bridges, we'd have never had films or TV series like The Bridge on the River Kwai, A Bridge Too Far, The Bridge, The Bridges of Madison County, Bridge of Spies, and Bridgerton. And without Bridgerton, we'd have never have seen the Duke of Hastings' spoon. Oh. Christ. And think about music. Without bridges, we'd have never have had Bridge Over Troubled Water, Under the Bridge, or London Bridge is Falling Down.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down.
Bridges are part of the fabric of our life. Before bridges, if you saw someone on the other side of a river who you fancied or wanted to talk to, you'd have to turn and walk the length of the entire river until you could locate its source, so you could get round the river and then walk all the way back down the other side. And by that point, frequently the person had either gone home or married someone else. Bridges solved that problem. Bridges spread love. Quite literally, in my case, but we'll come to that a little bit later on. Now, I'm going to go and have a look at a few more bridges now, but instead of doing a montage showing you how I get there, I've decided to give you a few bridge facts instead. Trolls often find their homes under bridges. The funniest bridge in the world is thought to be Phoebe Waller Bridge. Bridges rhymes with ridges. So here we are on London's South Bank, and I've come here because it really is a paradise for bridge lovers, and not just because it's only 15 minutes on the train from where I live. behind me there, you'll see Tower Bridge, the most famous bridge in the world, even if it is mostly famous for being mistakenly called London Bridge, which is actually a completely different bridge. But we'll come on to that bridge in a minute. Tower Bridge is an impressive bridge, there's no doubt about that. But it's not my cup of tea. It just screams, look at me, doesn't it? People gather here to watch it split in the middle and lift so that tall ships can come through, or ships carrying tall things like giraffes. But for me, the moment it breaks apart, it ceases to become a bridge. It's just two towers with that slightly higher thing linking them up in the middle. So I suppose technically it is still a bridge, just a hugely overrated one. Just downstream or upstream, I'm not really sure, is the actual London Bridge. There's been a bridge at about this spot for centuries, although they haven't always been as sturdy as this mofo. There's been loads before, including one that was destroyed by an actual violent tornado in 1091 and another that burnt down in 1136. And then Henry II decided a stone one might be a good idea, and that bridge lasted for 600 years as a street with shops, houses, and as a place to display the severed heads of traitors. Eventually they did build a new one, but that one started sinking. So London City famously sold it to American chainsaw magnate Robert McCulloch, who had it dismantled and shipped to Arizona. There it was rebuilt as a tourist attraction at Lake Havasu City, an actual city that McCulloch had founded himself off the back of his chainsaw fortune. Some people thought that McCulloch thought he was getting Tower Bridge, not London Bridge. But while that would be funny, it's not plausible, and it isn't true. So London Bridge probably doesn't get that much love these days, cast as it is in the shadow of the showy Tower Bridge. But it has a great history, its own song.
London Bridge is falling down.
And I love it because it's like Jordan Henderson. It's functional. It does what it's supposed to do. It bridges. Well, I mean, Jordan Henderson doesn't bridge, but the metaphor had ended by then. So, right, I'm off to the next bridge now. So, in the meantime, here's what happened when I went to visit another bridge, which I'm going to do tomorrow. I've come to Paddington today to see one bridge. You can tell I haven't got a proper job at the moment, can't you? But for a bridge aficionado like me, this bridge is really special. It's a fan bridge. I've never seen it before, but it opens up in a spectacular way. I know I just said that I thought Tower Bridge was a bit showy and a bit look at me. You could say the same for this one, but actually this is really special. I've never seen it before. I'm going to set up a time lapse. Cannot wait to see this beautiful bridge. What a bridge. What a bridge. I was at Tower Bridge yesterday and there were hundreds of people there to see that. It was only about 5 or 6 looking at this one. It was beautiful. One for the real bridge connoisseurs, the true bridge connoisseurs. A real triumph of beautiful engineering. Come on, we've got to cross that, haven't we? Come on, we've got to cross that. Absolutely magnificent. There we go. Bridge crossing number 1721. What a beauty. Further downstream or upstream is the Millennium Bridge, built for the turn of the millennium. And it's weird for me to think that there are people in their 20s now who weren't alive when this bridge was opened midway through the year 2000, a little bit late. And so they might not know that as the first people swarmed across it, it started swaying a fair bit and they realised that probably wasn't safe, so it was immediately closed again. I love the reason it swayed too. It was all the fault of people. It was a phenomenon called synchronous lateral excitation. It essentially people walk with a sort of natural sway, and when a lot of them were walking across the bridge, they sort of naturally fell into step, so they were all slightly swaying to the same way, and that in turn made the bridge sway. And then the people sort of corrected themselves to match the sway of the bridge, so that made them sway even more, which made the bridge sway even more. The more the people swayed, the more the bridge swayed. The more the bridge swayed, the more the people swayed. For the same reason, apparently, soldiers deliberately march out of step when crossing a suspension bridge, because if they all move as one, they can cause vertical swaying, which can turn the bridge into a sort of giant swing, a bit like Mr. Monkey's banana boat ride at Thorpe Park. Apart from the general beauty of this bridge, which runs like a beautiful silver tongue from the mouth of St Paul's at one end to the erect Tate Modern Tower at the other, there's something about this bridge that I really love that not many people notice. It was shown to me by my son Leo, and it's chewing gum. Now, you've probably seen everywhere unsightly blobs of sort of black gum on pavements and things like that, and you get them on bridges too, and you get them on this bridge, on the Millennium Bridge. But fortunately, some fantastic artists have managed to turn these horrible globs into something beautiful. You don't get that on things that aren't bridges. I could go on about bridges all day, but I'm going to end my bridge odyssey here at my favourite bridge in the world, the combined Hungerford and Golden Jubilee bridges. They don't look brilliant from down here, it's more about the views when you're actually crossing, but for me it's what it stands for. Because at the bottom of those steps, just over there, was where I first met the woman who was to become my wife. I remember looking up at the steps as she walked down, hair flowing in the January breeze, taking off a glove so that we could shake hands properly. Then we walked back up the steps, across the bridge, for the start of a date that was going to last for 10 hours. Less than 9 months later, we were on that bridge again, and I proposed. And it was a fairly eventful proposal. First of all, just as I was getting down on one knee, a woman walked past and properly lost her shit. She was sort of going like that. And then after I'd actually put the ring on my then fiance's finger, she thought she'd test it to see whether it actually fitted. So she reached out over the bridge and sort of started flinging her fingers around like that. And you know, if it hadn't have fit, it would have flown off into the Thames, and I'd have had to have dived in after it because I definitely couldn't afford another one. I cross this bridge a lot, and whenever I do, I think of those two moments so sort of crystal clear in my head. And we love this bridge so much, we've even got a painting of it at home, which even appears to have me and my wife strolling across it at sunset. So I really, really love bridges, and I hope you do too. Why don't you tell me your favourite bridge down in the comments below, just after you press the like button. Or let me know what other things you might like me to cover in Why I Love... See ya.